experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Bharat Kunyan.
Well, we have our beautiful soul brother here today, Jeff Cloud. It's a real honor to have you on our Bioactivator platform. Welcome. It's good
Thank
to
you
see
so much. Always great to connect with you, brother. You know how it goes. We talk
Absolutely.
for an hour or two, and we should have probably recorded that. And then we come back to reenact all the good flow that we had. But yeah, it's a blast. So exciting times, and I'm honored to be here as well. So yeah.
And to our beautiful.
Let's inspire some people.
Absolutely. So our hot topic discussion today to all our beautiful viewers, and just to a little reminder to ourselves, is I'll put my hands together with this one. What does it mean to be heart-centered? But before we dive into that, lovely brother, just a brief little outline profile. I mean, I've known you many years now, and I've always looked at you as a very powerful catalyst, mentor that you've been. So thank you for that. And so for all our beautiful viewers out there, not too familiar with your work, brother, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are? And I believe that you're located in Thailand. Just a little bit something how you ended up in Thailand, this amazing country that you're in. So I'll hand the mic to you, and then we'll get into the discussion in a few minutes.
Okay. I'll do my best to make it short.
Thank you.
Was a recording engineer for almost 3 decades in San Diego and Los Angeles, California. Always been a huge music lover, guitar player. And my last studio, interestingly enough, flooded. I didn't lose any of my gear or anything super valuable, but the carpet flooded in San Diego. The walls are made out of chalkboard. And so I ended up having to move out after 7 years in the building. So I lost my business, which was my source of income at the time, and I lost my place to live. So it was a really wonderful opportunity to shift into something else.
Yeah.
And so I went up to Napa, California to live with my sister and her husband, who were gracious enough to give me a wonderful place to live. And I ended up meeting a wonderful woman on Facebook who lived outside of Bangkok, which is in southern Thailand. I'm up more north. I'm outside of Chiang Mai, which is kind of a digital nomad capital. And so she just invited me to come over to Thailand and check it out. And we had Skyped almost every day for 6 months. So we were both pretty convinced that we were soulmates and supposed to be together. And so I just jumped to Thailand with only $650 US to my name. No backup plan, no income, nothing. There was no backup plan. And our relationship, first part of it ended after about 2 to 3 weeks. And so I only had 2 choices: go back to California with no recording studio for the first time in 25 years, or investigate Thailand. And it's a little longer story, but I met somebody else on Facebook who lived in Chiang Mai at the time, which is like a digital nomad capital. They speak English, and a lot of people come from all over the world there. It's a really amazing place. And he invited me to come there. And I went to Chiang Mai, bought a yellow bicycle with a basket on the front, and just started riding around the moat, which is this waterway in the old city. Just started meeting people, finished my book, Waking Up in the Dream, and started just sharing that with people around the world and mentoring people and collaborating. And
Yeah.
And here I am almost 9 years later.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's been so good to me. And I work with the wild doggies here every day. And it's
We
just
see that.
good. Yeah.
Cool, brother. If I may ask a question reference to your amazing book,
Thank you.
when did you start work on this amazing book, Waking Up in the Dream? Did you start work when you ended up in Thailand, or was the book almost complete before you went to Thailand?
That's a good question. The catalyst, probably the catalyst was pain originally, and figuring out that there had to be more than pain, and a bigger reason to be here, to incarnate here, than just pain and suffering, because that's what I had kind of experienced the first 20, 30 plus years of my life, because I had wounds like everybody else, and I was running programs like everybody else, and they were based on my beliefs and my reactions to things. And so I read a lot of books on manifestation and healing and stuff, and nothing really super stuck. There were little good pieces here and there, but nothing that I could really, really bite into. And so I met a man named Don Miguel Ruiz in 2001. He's the author of The Four Agreements, The Mastery of Love, Beyond Fear, The Voice of Knowledge. And he lived in San Diego. So I became what's known as an apprentice, where you would sign up to be part of a group for 1 year in San Diego.
This book here?
Yeah, right there. Yep. And so it wasn't so much the book that did it. It was when I had a conversation with Miguel, and he said two things. First thing he said was, Jeff, everyone is you. I was like, really? You mean like even the murderers and the pedophiles and all this stuff? And he's like, everyone is you. I was like, okay, so that was a huge invitation to expand outside of my belief system and my programming of what I thought was good and bad, right and wrong. Then the other thing that really blew it wide open for me was when he told me, none of your beliefs are even your own. That blew my mind, because then I went, oh my God, everybody's got this tiny little belief system, which I describe in the book. It's basically a prison. And anything that comes in to challenge the belief system or that touches on a childhood wound or trauma that's not cleared, people have an automatic trigger, an automatic reaction. They're what I call automatic reactors in the book. And so I started to wake up in the middle of the night and get these downloads, not from like Palladians or any of that, just like clarity. Yeah. And in the beginning, I was like, well, when I wake up tomorrow, I need to write that down. And I would wake up the next day and I wouldn't remember it with clarity. So I made a commitment to myself to begin getting up in the middle of the night, turning on the light, burning the, rods out of my eyeballs. And I'd write it all down, notes to self. And that's what ended up becoming the book. I shared it with somebody and she's like, you really need to put this out. This is really presented in a very easy to understand way, but it's step by step that anybody can do. And I was like, really? Because I'm like, I had no credentials to write anything, nothing, but I had clarity. And so that's what ended up becoming Waking Up in the Dream and in the program. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, no, because I have had the privilege of sharing space with you on many occasions, and you have certainly been a massive game changer in my life, and I'm sure a lot of listeners out there as well. For many people, you've been a great inspiration, and your book, as far as I'm concerned, speaks. It's really authentic, and I can really, I can authenticate how much of an impact you've had in terms of helping me advance to the place where I am at the moment. So thank you for that.
Thank you, brother. That means a lot, because to be honest, with other people, this may be helpful. It may not be. But there were times when I was completely ready to leave the planet. In my late 20s, 30s, maybe my late 30s. Like I said, I was running programs, I had wounds, and I did not know how to clear them. And I was ready to leave. My basic thought was there has to be more to life than pain and suffering. And I just saw pain and suffering everywhere. I saw some happiness and some laughs here and there, but I saw all this programming, and I could see it when I was even 7 years young, when I was placed as part of my soul contract into private Catholic schools with very angry nuns where every day was judgment day. Every day was judgment day. And myself and my best friend, we were always in trouble for one reason. We were straight A and B students, and we were great at sports, but we were always in trouble because we questioned everything. And they did not like that at all. And so I just started painting. I was just like, something's wrong. Things are inverted. I didn't even know what the word inverted was back then. I was young, but my intuition did not lie to me. It was like, something's off. The frequency's off. These nuns are not happy. And I was an altar boy in church until 9th grade. And I just saw so much stuff that was out of alignment. And that was part of my training. It was all perfect. It was part of my soul contract, but I didn't really know it at the time when I was going through it.
Yeah. When you mention programming, who do you feel is doing the programming?
All sources, parents, grandparents. When I say all of one's beliefs came from outside themselves, it's whatever they're influenced by. It could be the television. It could be the lies of the school system, fake history, inverted history, science, which is now you can't really trust anything. Which the benefit of that is to really go within and learn to trust yourself and develop this inner knowing of frequency and questioning everything, especially your longest held beliefs. And that's what the process is in the book. You start to really question everything, and you track every judgment, every trigger, everything. And then you stop and you go through a little process, and it starts to dismantle decades of programs and wounds, because you can't dismantle a program or a wound unless you can see it.
Yeah.
Once you're willing to be honest with yourself and go, the problem's not out there. The person that I think I'm upset with is actually the mirror who's perfectly playing their role, keyword, perfectly playing their role as part of my soul contract to bring me another invitation to awaken to deeper levels. But if I project and I judge and I react, I'm going to have to relive that over and over and over. And it might be 2 weeks, it might be 5 years before that opportunity comes around again, to where I get to really get another opportunity to look at it. So really, one of the main things that's taught in the book is anytime you have a judgment, a trigger, or a less than thought, the get out of hell free question is, what is this trying to show me or teach me about me? It's never about the other person or what's out there, unless somebody's physically assaulting or abusing you, and then of course get out of the situation. But everything else is the teacher and the mirror, so to speak. And if somebody is at least open to looking at that point of view, they're going to start clearing stuff real quick.
Thank you for that, brother. How do you know when you are heart-centered? So the question is, how do you know when you're heart-centered? What happens around you? What changes do you see from this to that? What exactly is taking place, so that when you take ownership, responsibility, and accountability, when you start seeing yourself in others, and what changes, what kind of a shift takes place? Can you describe some of the feedbacks?
For me, I had to reprogram myself.
Okay.
Because you could be in your heart if you know a dog comes up or a little animal or you see somebody that you like or whatever. It's easy to be in your heart. But reprogramming yourself to be in your heart and to be a contribution to the field or society or the collective from the moment you wake up until the moment you go back to sleep, that requires intention and a commitment. Some people, it might be easier. For others, you meet some people and like yourself, and people always go, Barrett, you're always in your heart. You always seem happy. Da, 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 da. Some people that comes easier to. For me, because of my soul contract and what I had to go through so that I could awaken to see these programs and be able to share some solutions with other people. I had to go through some things that weren't that fun. And most of the people that I journey with and most of the people that I know that are some of the greatest teachers on the planet had to go through some of the toughest stuff. So for me, how do I know I'm in my heart? Number one, I choose to be in my heart. I'm out of my ego, and there's just a feeling of peace and alignment and calmness, but there could also be excitement in there too. You know, it's one of my favorite words. So did I answer that?
Absolutely, brother. I mean, it's like
really a conscious decision. That's really what amplifies the field and starts to bring in all of the synchronicities and what we might call magic and miracles. It's just everything is attracted. I teach that we're magnetic beings and that whatever we're holding within, that's what we're going to attract. And whatever we're putting out, we're going to see more of. So it's something that for me, I needed to play with it, keyword play, instead of work at it. Work seems heavy. I don't use that word anymore. But it required me to play with it and test it out. Yeah. And there was no doubt that being in my heart was far superior. And that doesn't mean let people abuse you or take advantage of you or anything like that. No, I can smell manipulation a mile away because I can feel the frequency because I practice with this stuff every day and I get to take other amazing people through the process, which they're all my teachers. I don't call anybody my students. To me, that sounds like, you know, I'm up here, they're down here. One of my favorite mantras is, I know nothing. That completely takes my ego out of the picture. It doesn't mean that I don't know that love is the answer, that raising our conscious awareness is the most important thing that we can possibly do in the creation of our reality, but it keeps me in check that I know nothing means to me that I am 100% open to other perspectives at all times. I'm open to questioning every single belief I ever had, especially my longest held ones. That's when you start moving outside of what some people call the box, which doesn't really exist, but you know, the belief system can be a prison, and you can see people who get triggered, especially now, like you see the separation. Anybody that has been watching the television or gets their information from the cabal-owned sources, they get angry if anybody tries to present anything else to them. And what's really important, which is what I think we should dive into, is the coming together right now is super, super, super important. As you love to say, wherever two or more are gathered, and it's just super key. So what this means to me is I've exposed a lot of stuff over the years because I could see stuff from the time that I was young. You know, I was talking about pedos and inverted the Vatican and all that stuff, religion, a long time ago. And, you know, the majority of people called me crazy. Well, now I'm not sharing that stuff as much anymore because I understand that what we give our energy to is what we will see more of. And there's this other wave of people that are awakening that are now finally waking up and they're sharing all this stuff. So my greatest contribution that I feel is to focus on creating more leaders through taking them through this process and showing them how to be self-sufficient and not dependent on anyone else. Like, I don't need, which is a word that I don't use, it's one of the spell words, but just for the sake of this conversation, I don't need or desire people to keep coming back to me. If you learn the processes in this book, you don't need a whole bunch of other stuff. If you want to explore things in art or whatever, but these are the tools for creation, and they work. And they're actually very simple. All they take is practice and honesty. So for me, I'm interested in empowering more leaders, because that's what's going to shift or accelerate what's happening on the planet. And as more and more things get revealed right now, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to need compassionate, non-judgmental support, love, and kindness when they finally realize that they've been lied to about everything. Because for me and for us, it's kind of happened over the period of, a few decades. For some other people, they're about to get red-pilled, and they're going to need some real kind, compassionate people to support them. And so that's what my focus is right now, and I know yours is too. So
beautiful. Thank you for that. There is a movement out there. They represent their interpretation of this place, this planet, as a prison planet. What can you say to them that will help enable them to come out of that possible level of entrapment, thinking that this is a prison planet? Or do you feel, because what you're saying in your book is an amazing dedication, amazing work towards this level of consciousness, where if everybody is you living on this planet, if you start making this powerful statement that this is a prison planet, what are you putting out there? From your understanding, what can you say? Or do you feel to a point this is a prison planet, or it is or it isn't? Can you add some clarity to that?
I love you, brother. You know that. And your questions are great. It's 2:22 right now in Thailand. So the planet was hijacked and set up as a prison planet, and it has been that way for, as far as I know, and who can trust history, because it's all been hijacked and hidden. But it was a prison planet. Now, my personal reality is the timelines are splitting, and there's choice points that are being made right now. And so, for the first time, as far as I know, because again, I know nothing, I'm wide open, we have an opportunity to move into higher frequency timelines while we're still in this human body. And according to research, this has never been done before. I also play and invite everybody that I journey with or talk to play with speaking to your cells and reversing your aging. Never tell people how OLD you are. That's a spell word. Your subconscious and all your trillions of cells are listening. So at this point in time, we've got a choice to either focus on all the doom and gloom and fight and project and judge anybody that has a different opinion, or we can simply go, one of my other 3-word mantras that I love, isn't that interesting? Because isn't that interesting is a mantra I came up with in the book as well, because it's 100% neutral. Because a lot of people maybe don't know, or they watch my lives, I used to be a judgeaholic. I was taught to be a judgeaholic in Catholic school. Every day was Judgment Day. And I thought that's how we fixed and cleared and healed things, by pointing out everything that was wrong. So I used to point out everything that was wrong. What I didn't realize was, since I'm a magnetic being, I was actually attracting more of that stuff to look at and see that was wrong. It was all part of my training, so it was perfect. So I don't regret it. But right now, lots of talk about timeline splitting. And some people may choose to be governed, and you know where that's going, that, chips and, you know, smart cities and total control and turning off your bank account if you don't do exactly what they say, all that stuff. Or you've got all these other incredible people that are waking up and going, no, that's not for me. And now it's so great because there's so many people that are coming together that are here to support. Even the people, a lot of the people that I deal with and journey with, they're like, everybody's asleep in my town. Everybody in my family's asleep. And I go, that's why you're there. That's why we're all over the globe where we are. So if you feel like you're alone, you're really not. There's two ways to look at that. You may feel like you're alone. You can reach out. I'm connected with people all over the world through this technology, and most of them I've never met in person. But you can't deny the frequency of honesty, integrity, and people that are open-minded, don't have an agenda. They're like, hey, let's align our frequencies. Let's see what we can do together. There's a wave happening, and everybody can feel it for anybody that's paying attention. So what an incredibly exciting time to be here. And I'd love for you to share, you know, some stuff, because you've been asking me all these great questions. And I know that you're playing a massive role. You're highly intelligent. And yeah, so how about you take over and you can share what you believe it means to be heart-centered and share some of your wisdom for your audience that knows you. And I'll just sit back and hold a little bit of space.
That's very kind of you, bro. Thank you. My understanding is, that it's interesting times. From my own personal experience, the biofeedbacks that I get is the kind of signatures, footprints we're leaving everywhere we go, because we are leaving impressions. If you're competing, for example, in a world where you're trying to prove that you're right and they're wrong, it's going to cause friction. It's going to create division. So rather than doing that, why do you need to prove anything to anyone? Especially in words, because as you know, words is a very dangerous game for many, because like beautiful brother Jeff Cloud highlighted, there's a lot of spell words involved, and sometimes we get into spells that we're not too familiar with. Language can create this if we're not careful, unless you are able to feel the frequency behind the word, because then that you will get the feeling of what the intention of that individual is. For many years now, my movement is centered on not causing harm, loss, or imposing on the freedom of movement in any shape or form. So I'm not here to change anything other than work on myself, this vessel, because this vessel is reflecting, is projecting. So what's happening within my world, without too many words, is going to leave this powerful vortex of energy. So when people come in contact with that, they will get a feeling. And that feeling is either are we raising the frequency, energy, vibration, or are we lowering it? So when people are in your company, two or more, what are they experiencing? Do they feel joy, peace, happiness? Because when we talk about the real intrinsic value of something, for me personally, it's not gold, silver, Bitcoin. It's the word called energy. And how are we energizing beings, not just humans? Because our wonderful, beautiful brother, Jeff Cloud, I mean, we see the way how you marvel with our beautiful dogs, because you're very fond of these beautiful animals, brother, and I take my hat off and I see how heart-centered you are, not just with people, but with animals as well. And I think that's so crucially important, that we engage with all living beings. And because when you're happy, when you get some kind of feedback, it enriches the soul. Because for me, it's all about the soul, not this indoctrinated versions that we've become or to believe in so much. So for me, it's not about where you live, who you are, but how you live and how you interact with all beings. And again, brother, if I may revert back to your energy, because you're a wonderful example of being a great game changer, because your book is a very powerful foundation where people take greater ownership, responsibility, and accountability. Because I genuinely believe, from my own practices, that nobody will come and save you. You will have to find a way, a technique, a modality that will help save yourself. It is very gratifying. It is very enriching. It is very uplifting when you get to that level of consciousness that you don't need validation. You don't need anybody to say anything to you, but to be in that unison, that balance, where you bring the two hemispheres into alignment, so you have the ability to see. So, brother, we're very much aligned. We are on the same chapter in so many ways, because the name of the game, and like you say, it's the only game in town, as far as I'm concerned, is to bring people to the place where they are in charge, they are leaders, and they understand the essence of what it is, that there is a play and there is two opposing polarities. We must never be, it's important to play the game, and I get that, but not to become the game, not for you to be pulled in. And this is a winner and this is a loser, kind of. I genuinely believe in my heart it's a win-win for all parties involved. I genuinely believe that nobody needs to lose anything. And we are creating this new paradigm, a new shift, where it's, for me personally, it's all about, again, we don't want to do, we had this amazing dialogue, brother. We had a very fruitful, stimulating conversation about the misconceptions of what it is, the Great Reset versus the Great Awakening. For me, it's all about awakening yourself to the highest possible, impeccable version of yourself. And nobody other than yourself can authenticate that through your biofeedbacks, because you are leaving impressions everywhere you go. And are people getting excited in your presence? Because if they are, the feedback you'll be getting is joy, peace, happiness, and loads of smiles and hugs. And I can't wait to see you again. So if you're getting that, you're the richest person on planet Earth. Certainly this new shift that we're creating. So, brother, yeah, thank you for the opportunity as well to express that. And when two or more come into the play with their intentions, with the highest version, the highest purity, it really excites the senses of those listeners out there as well. And it brings them to the place of, yeah, let's work together. Let's make this happen. Bless all the governments, bless all the beings out there who are in a place where they're not happy and they're not in joy and they're not at peace with themselves. Because, brother, I speak for you, I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, we are not here to dismantle the old. We're not here to be anti anything. We're not anti-establishment. We are creating a new shift. We are creating a new paradigm. So we see this as a massive upgrade to what already exists. And yeah, thank you for that. It's a real honor to share that, brother. You know.
Always,
So
brother. Thanks.
just to quickly, I mean, before we wrap up, I was going to say, yeah. So it's all about being centered all the time, because we neutralize when you become superimposed, super conscious. The name of the game is to make situations, if it's acidic, to alkaline it. And how do you alkaline a situation? By being happy, by being conscious, aware of why it's happening, why these two polarities are doing this. And we are not there to say, to this, you're good, to this, you're bad. Because again, if we start doing that, we're getting division, we're getting rivalry, we're getting conflict. Yeah. So I'm only sharing, like you are with your phenomenal book and your beautiful magical presence. This is what we're sharing. And we're excited, aren't we, brother Jeff?
It's
We're
a really, really exciting time right now. And the energies are obviously high because what was hidden has to be exposed. What is unhealed needs to be healed. And it's got to be looked at. So to me, one of the biggest keys is if one can remember. I remember I would wake up and I go, I hope, I wish, today's going to be a good day. And then many people, want to be careful with my words, some people, maybe one or two left, wait to see what type of a day it's going to be. If you wake up and you consciously and intentionally create your day, and instead of going, what can I get today? You go, how can I serve the collective today? I can guarantee you 1,000,000% that if you truly begin to wake up every morning and before you get out of bed, you love on your body, love on all these cells that are consciously aware, first of all, and they're listening to you. They've been serving you your entire life unconditionally since you were in the womb, and go, how can I serve the collective today? And I know that magic and miracles and synchronicities show up in my reality. Why? Because I'm operating from my heart. And that's what the heart frequencies attract. I'm not trying to get because I need. I'm into giving because I realize that everybody's me and I'm actually giving to myself. And when we talk about moving into these higher frequencies, we can't be hating or not being willing to forgive anybody. We've got to understand that whether you desire or want to admit it or not, every single person was perfectly playing their agreed upon role on our soul contract. I mean, I get people that come to me and they've been abused and even raped by their father and this and that. And it's like, I don't tell them that on the first call, but if they truly want to heal and forgive, they've got to go, well, I must have chosen that for a reason. Anything else is denial, and you will carry that with you to the grave of that story about what somebody else did to you and how it's poison. It really is. So having the willingness to be honest with ourselves and go, what's the gift here? Why would I have chosen that? And again, the people that I journey with, that I take through this process, that have chosen the most difficult things, go on to do the greatest stuff for other people. And so it's just like, how can I serve today? And then see what comes back from your mind, because your ego might go, well, I can't serve. I can't even pay my rent. It'll come up with all these stories about why I need to focus on me. And if there's some healing to be done or whatever, then yes, focus on yourself. I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying I'm giving the invitation to hold in your heart and your awareness, everybody out there is me.
Beautiful.
Even those that I think are bad and super evil, we're going to have to forgive them too. Because there's no moving into a higher frequency timeline, holding on to hatred, anger, or even judgment. And I hear some people go, well, I'll forgive, but I'll never forget. It makes me laugh. Because what they're really saying is, I know that I'm supposed to forgive, but I'm really not willing to. And it's only when you can go, okay, you perfectly played your role as part of my agreed upon soul contract. And here's when you know when you've really forgiven. And this may trigger some people, when you can say thank you for perfectly playing your role.
You've learned
You
your
stole
lesson.
my boyfriend. My mom was an alcoholic. She used to beat me and lock me in the basement. My father molested, whatever. I'm not telling everybody, oh, just say thanks. No, I'm saying there's some healing to be done, but you'll know if you've cleared it when you can go, okay, maybe you don't have to say thank you, but I have no longer a charge. I understand why I chose that as part of my soul contract. And I know, as I say this, some people are triggered and they're going to go, there's no way I would have chosen this as part of my soul contract. And I used to say that for at least 20 years. I would say, there's no way I would have chosen this amount of pain and suffering in my life. And I fought that, and I was in resistance over and over and over. And then I finally went, I need to let this go in order to have peace and clear my frequency and heal. Yes, brother.
Yeah. I was going to say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's important that I throw this in, because earlier we were saying that it used to be a prison planet. So I get where the anger, the bitterness, the friction is, because even you said earlier that this planet was under the occupation of non-angelic beings. So not in those exact words, but we were maybe terrorized to a point, and then now we've got the power back. We've got the opportunity to reclaim the power back. That's why I said there are people out there who may still feel that they're living in a prison planet. They feel that we're not quite there. But what you said also is very, very empowering. If you wake up every day feeling, oh, I'm another day, oh my God, this is I'm opening my eyes to a prison planet, then that's how you're going to magnetize everything around you. Whereas I know when you wake up every day, your day begins with grace. May I also say, on the same token, that there are certain modalities, certain techniques that you can use. For example, there are certain mantras you can do to release energies that are stagnant. For example, one of the two favorite ones.
Great.
Yeah, can I do a 47-second video for our viewers just to remind us how powerful this mantra is? We just sit back and enjoy.
During our busy lives, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Peace, love, gratitude, and forgiveness. Ho'oponopono, an ancient Hawaiian practice, guides us back to these core values with a simple mantra. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Each phrase is a step towards healing. Love connects us, apology humbles us, forgiveness frees us, and gratitude grounds us. By repeating this mantra, we cleanse our hearts, release the past, and create space for peace. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you.
Yeah, so that's one of the modalities that I've come across. It has helped me with that particular mantra to help raise my frequency. So, and the other one, brother, so that's one of a very powerful mantra. But what about affirmations? Do you feel affirmations are important to do affirmations?
I speak to my cells every day, and I also proclaim anything that I desire as already here now. That's why I have a free video on my YouTube channel, Portal to Awakening, of spell words, the 9 most common spell words to eliminate: want, wish, hope, try, need, should, going to, hard, and difficult. If you listen to people, even like super intelligent spiritual people, they're almost all using those spell words. And you may think that's nitpicky, But what those 9 words are telling your subconscious, and the subconscious can only take a direct instruction. The desire is either here now or it's not. And so it's really, really important to understand that. And when I create my reality every day, sometimes in the beginning, you may need to go against what the ego is telling you, because you could say, you know, abundance just flows to me. I am abundance. I'm all that is. And the ego goes, well, you can't even pay your rent, or, you know, I don't have enough to make my cut. And you just, sometimes you have to act as if, and it might take a little bit of time for that to catch up in 3D. But I promise you, if you really, really begin to get excited, and I do it, I smile because that raises my frequency, and I envision and I feel anything I desire is already here now. Always. And then somebody might go, well, what if I'm creating a new business and, you know, I've got a 6-month plan to do? That's great. But what you're really sending to your subconscious is that it's already here now. And if one begins to play with this keyword play, like a little child before their imagination gets squashed, they're going, I'm playing with the fairies and the butterflies, and there's no limitations to a child. That's why their energy is so magical. And that's why the Rockefeller Cabal school system, the very first thing that they choose to do is to make sure that they squash the child's imagination, sit down, shut up, and then they tell you or teach you what to think instead of how to think. So being playful is really, really, really key. You're muted. Am I muted?
Thank you. I was muted.
Okay, good.
So there's a thing called cognitive dissonance, and also there's two. I put together this interesting video for our viewers as well. So for me, it's all about holism, but there is a cognitive dissonance, energetic or lack of it, understanding of what it is. And I put this little video together. It's about a minute long, and it's our symbiotic relationship to life. Let's see what our viewers think of it.
Have you ever felt deeply connected to the universe? Let's uncover the truth about our bond with the cosmos. We are an integral part of the universe, not separate from it. Our fascination with the stars reveals our spiritual and physical connection to the cosmos. Modern life often creates cognitive dissonance, conflicting with our interconnectedness. Reject this dissonance and embrace a holistic view of existence. Holism reveals that everything is interconnected, unlocking our true potential. Aligning with holism brings profound self-awareness and unity with the universe. This state helps us remember we are beings of light, part of a vast cosmic tapestry. We are one with the universe, bringing freedom and peace. Embrace this truth, reject dissonance, and step into holism's light. We are part of the universe, and it is part of us. Remember, you are the universe experiencing itself. Let this truth set you free.
Because there's a lot of people out there that they will say there is a level of mind control systems. And to be fair, it is quite dramatic, because people look up in the skies sometimes and they see chemtrails, and they say sometimes, well, how can we neutralize and harmonize things in the skies? By taking ownership. And can it be that you can be so, like, say to yourself, I'm not going to allow this to affect me? Can you change the molecular structure of something by blessing it? Because look at structured water, for example. You, by being kind, by saying beautiful things, and you being in that, being centered, that you can balance the two hemispheres in such a beautiful way, you have the ability to bless. So when when you know yourself you're a blessing, you then have the ability to bless. So in not so many words, I suppose we do have the ability to take something which is acidic and make it alkaline. But we ourselves need to be on that pH of 7 and above, because if we're below that threshold, the kind of footprints that we're leaving, these very powerful markers and signatures, it's not raising the frequency. Yeah. So when we are alkaline, yeah, because how are we alkaline? Because what we're ingesting, because we are conductors and we are receivers, so we have to be conscious of what's coming our way. Yeah. And if the energy for some reason is coming and it's destructive in nature, we say thank you, but no thank you. So we don't need to be rude to it. And I think that the spells or whatever that's coming, which is not in our alignment, the best thing that I can share with our beautiful viewers that really neutralizes, I just smile or I laugh, because it doesn't, because that's fear, that's a lot of fear-based energy, and that kind of shrinks, and it diminishes and it vanishes, and you say thank you. So that, we're just sharing, brother, some techniques and modalities here for our beautiful viewers that's helping us have this level of upliftment. So yeah, it's beautiful, brother. But in closing, I mean, do you want to add anything else? So the
top of that, because this is a big thing for people. And even where I live in Thailand, I'm out walking with these wild dogs every day, going up to the woods above the dam and the lake, and it's gorgeous. But the air quality here is not great.
Yeah.
And there's towers everywhere, like there are all over the world. And so no matter what the external looks like to me, I focus on, I know that my frequency is affecting the field in every moment, whether I can actually see it actually change immediately in front of me. So when I'm walking with the dogs and I'm all alone, it's just me and like 10 or 12 dogs, I just, if the air quality is bad, or if I think about any of the poisoning that's going on with the food, the air, the water, the frequency, any of that, I just send it love and I neutralize it. I send it love and I neutralize it. And when we talk about these timelines that are splitting right now, which is a big topic and a choice, we can still see things in, let's call it 3D for lack of a better description, that are still being cleared or maybe still being chosen by certain people that may experience that. But the fact that we have awareness to see it doesn't mean that it's still affecting us. It's just that there's kind of a delay in 3D of things like catching up. So sometimes you might go, well, I'm being all positive, but all I see is a shitstorm around me. And that's the wrong, that's not the, I'm not going to say wrong, that's not the best way to look at it. Because if you go, I know, taking your example of, Dr. Emoto, of looking at water or words that were taped to the water, you can clearly see that it's affecting the field. And our body, 80 or whatever % of water. And so is everything else out there. If there really isn't even an out there, which is a whole nother frickin' mind-bending discussion. But the point is, we're affecting the field in every moment. So when you practice being aware that you're affecting the field, it doesn't mean that you're never going to have a bad thought or you're never going to get triggered. I still get triggered. I get triggered when I see the poisoning of people or the harming of children or the animals. And I let it out. I don't project it on other people. I usually do it in my own space here. But the key is to be aware of it and to come back quickly and just go, okay, I experienced that. I felt that, but now I'm coming back into my heart. And it's just a practice. All this is practice. It's practice. Awareness, conscious awareness, raising our frequency is practice. And so be gentle with yourselves, but be accountable. And I'm just using these tools that we've spoken about. To me, again, conscious awareness is the only game in town from my perspective.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brother Jeff. It's
doing it.
We, and look forward to connecting with you again very soon. I really enjoy your company as always. I get so uplifted when I see you with your immense compassion for our beautiful stray dogs and what you're doing. It's what Jeff is doing. Is some viewers out there, they're not very familiar. I mean, Jeff is putting himself out for these beautiful dogs, and it shouldn't be just Jeff's responsibility. We should all be accountable. We should all do whatever we can to support this. It's and to create a safe space for our beautiful angelic beings. It's very sad to see them to be in this situation. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Jeff. And I know I speak for the many, and we witness, we see you, brother. We see how tireless you go out there and you put yourself out, you expose yourself and to these beautiful angelic beings who are some of them are really desolate and in trouble, and they need support and they need help. And you're such a great ambassador to bring, and a catalyst to remind humanity where we all need to get at. So on that note, brother, just a few words just to wrap up, brother. I'll let you do the finishing touch.
I'm going to say thank you for the reflection. I'm no saint. It's just, man, dogs are unconditional love. And when I wake up every morning and I go, how can I serve the collective today? And I see a dog that is injured, or you just help it. And it feels so good. It's not like I'm out here like some freaking walking saint. It's just so easy. And now I've got 12. Well, I deal with 25 to 50 dogs a day, probably on a given day. But I've got 12 dogs, 12 or 14 at the dam. It took me 6 to 8 months to earn their trust. But now when I ride up, they know the sound of my motorbike, and they come running every morning, and they trust me to go on these walks. They could go on the walks up into the woods above the dam by themselves all day long. But there's something, they've adopted me into their family. And it's just because they get that. Number one, I respect their boundaries, because some of them don't still want to be touched after they've known me for almost a year. Other ones want to run up and kiss me on the lips, and I let them do it. It's just a matter of, again, how can I serve the collective today? It's not about overextending yourself. It's easy for me to do, and the rewards are just, it's so heart opening that why wouldn't you want to do it? So yeah, I just want to clarify that. It's, it's just easy. So thank you, brother. And I love connecting with you as well. And until next time, thanks for everybody. If this resonates with you and you'd like to share it with people that you feel it may uplift or inspire them at this kind of wild and crazy time, then, share it out there. And, we'll keep coming back doing what we do, because it's part of what brings us joy. And so Thank you, lovely brother. Big love to you.
And see you soon.
All
Peace
right.
and love, beautiful viewers.
Bioactivator would like to thank you for your kind support and donations. Through Bharat Tunian's guardianship of this platform, his activation of truth harmonizes, neutralizes, and unblocks the meridians that connect, balance, and purify all that comes in contact. Do no harm is the key that fully opens the heart's voice to be in the union of the I Am presence, and will represent every living organism on the planet whose voice would otherwise not be heard. Remember, the truth will set you free. Do no harm, cause no loss, and do not impose upon the freedom of others. Love, light, and